What's up, Marty? Welcome back to the podcast. Um, we were just chatting about the World Championships. I haven't got a chance to watch them. I've seen the results. I have the results right here on my screen. But I figured you could fill me in on what you've seen so far today, or the
Yeah, I
last
woke
2 days, right?
up three.
3 days.
It's 3 days now. Yeah, I woke up every morning at 3:30 in the morning to watch them. Even though you could watch replays, I still got up and drank my coffee and watched the World Championships. It was I mean, we got Kyle Snyder tomorrow in the bronze medal match, but it was a great performance by United States. I mean, they wrestled really well. I think one of the things that if you can see that wrestling in the world, there's not just a dominant team anymore. I mean, I are the USA had a very good performance, but it was there's so many countries had somebody place, and the crazy thing was too is Michigan had two or three guys, and the Michi kid,
Yeah,
he won it all,
yeah,
and he beat two world champions, an Olympic champion and a world champion to do it. And the Amy kid that what's his name, Miles Amy is,
yeah.
yeah, he
And
took third in a very very tough weight class. I mean, there's so many names. You're like, oh yeah, these guys wrestle Division One. They're all Division One wrestlers. And I think it's awesome. But it was fun. It was fun to watch. Upsets. Kyle Snyder kind of got upset, but the kid's really good. He's young, 20-year-old kid, and he scored off every shot that Kyle Snyder hit. And what I really noticed, especially with the Americans, that the guys that went out and were offensive as heck were the guys that won. The guys that kind of sat back and we did a ton of hand fighting and looking for one shot. That doesn't work out anymore. Those, they're
well,
giving points way more than they did in years past.
yeah,
They're giving that person. There's a lot of times, like especially in the Kyle Snyder match, he was the aggressor on both shots, but the kid just kind of gut wrapped him and tipped him over. That's 4 points to his back. I mean, all of a sudden it was 8-0. But
yeah.
it was awesome. I mean, it was great. I don't know, can't or comment on any of the commentating because I didn't listen to any commentating. I just watched it. I don't need somebody to commentate it to me. I know what's going on.
Yeah.
But,
Well, what you were saying though about the action, I mean, in wrestling, it seems like, I mean, you almost always know that being, offensively minded, going out and trying to score takedowns, trying to, in our minds, we're thinking about dominating the other guy. And oftentimes when you go do that, that's actually like the best case scenario. Whenever you're timid and you hold back, whether, yeah, it just oftentimes doesn't work out well when you're not offensive. But I did want to ask, like I was looking at the results, so watching so Vito Ruja was the 61 kilogram gold medalist, and obviously huge performance at the NCAA tournament this year, and just super skilled going through NCAAs and then getting in onto the world team. But yeah, how did you get a chance to watch his
I
matches?
watched every one of his match. I mean, I watched everybody's match. The Arugio kid is he's a freak of nature. But here's the crazy thing: he was getting interviewed after his semifinal match, and he said specifically that he's not very good at anything except for wrestling. He said everything in life is hard for me. He goes, but for some reason, I'm a really good wrestler. And man, is he good! I mean, he just got so many skills offensively, and then he's got some freaky skills defensively too. I mean, he's the real deal. And the thing is, though, the Olympics are coming up. He's going to have to make that transition down because 61 is not a weight class in the Olympics. I don't think
Yeah,
it's like he's going to have to make that transition. He knows it. I mean, I heard him talk about it after the NCAAs, but I was totally impressed with him. He
yeah,
just he doesn't look like he's physical, but he is.
yeah.
He's extreme. I mean, everybody in that tournament are physical, hand fighting, tough guys.
Yeah, you can't have laissez-faire approach to hand fighting. Even if you're not an Iowa style grinder with
Right.
the collar tie, you still have to post, you still have
Yep.
to the club, you have to move guys out of position. Otherwise, they're just standing right there. So hand fighting isn't just wearing guys out. It's really about putting guys out of position so that you can get to attacks too. So yeah, I'm sure he looked impressive. So going into the next, I mean, I skipped over Zane Richards, but he didn't really have much of a tournament. He was 0-1, close match, but he lost right away. Nick Lee,
he was one of the guys that Zane was one of those guys that wasn't very offensive.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's kind of how he beat Gilman in the trials and stuff like that. But he just, I mean, he looks like, and it's new to him. Those guys that have been in the worlds and have wrestled there, you can tell the guys who are true veterans. You know, it's like with Vito. I mean, that was so impressive. But yeah, I mean, I think, I mean, you know, it's going to be totally different next year for the Olympics. There's going to be guys down at that weight class, and you know.
Yeah. Yeah, 57 will be a tough one to make because everybody's
Yeah.
going to condense into it.
Yeah.
What about Nick Lee? How did he look?
He won one or two matches, I think, and then, you know, I don't know. He just wasn't real often. Again, he's
No,
just not
it says he made to the
not Nick
quarterfinal.
Lee.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
Nick
got
Lee.
but then he got to quarterfinals. But that guy's got to make it to the finals to.
Yeah, so he won 3 matches, lost one, and then that guy didn't make it to
Yeah, he got eliminated.
yeah.
It's crazy.
How about Zane?
You want to know who looked really good? Mason Paris.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he just shot after shot after shot after shot, and just nonstop. I mean, he could be an Olympic champion next year.
Yeah, what an opportunity.
Right? I mean, you know, I mean, you find out about 2 weeks before, 3 weeks before that you're going to go. And I'm sure he's been training, but
yeah, he's definitely probably been training, knowing that that was a possibility that he was gonna get the nod if Gable didn't want to go. But is Gable gonna, like? There's no way that Gable's not gonna try to make the Olympics. Like if the WWE or whoever is you know behind him, you know, being in or out, he's gonna go to the Olympics.
Yeah, you know, I just saw a picture of him the other day on Twitter or Facebook. I don't know what it was. It was him with another kid from Minnesota. They've been working out. Man, he looks like he's even bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, he just looks like a physical dude. But this Mason Paris, so he's an athlete.
So you think that there is still a potential that he could actually like turn the tides and actually take out Gable?
I didn't say that, but but I'm telling you what, he easily could have been in the finals. Paris could have. Yeah. So I mean, you look back now and you look at that class where you had Gable Stevenson, Mason Parrish, you've got the kid from Pennsylvania or Penn State right now, Kirk Liff, and you had Tony Cassiope, all those guys. It's just an anomaly that those any of those heavyweights probably could medal in the world.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're just a bunch of big dudes.
Yeah.
You know,
well, go ahead.
No, you know what else they are? They're athletes. I mean, They are true athletes.
Yeah, you have to be. I mean, you have to be able to move your hands and move your feet at the same time and fast. It's a dynamic sport now. It's even more dynamic, I think, than in any other time period, just because of the skill level of all the competitors. You know, like you said, Mason Paris could have been in the finals. He got a bronze medal, but you know, he wasn't even the qualifier. So the fact that you know the U.S. team is actually sending guys not only for the U.S. obviously, right, but Micic, Amity, what's the Rutgers kid?
He plays.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of other guys though too. I mean, there's a bunch of guys wrestling from Puerto Rico. The guys wrestling from Gomez is wrestling.
Yeah. So you know, there's so much competition just in the U.S. To get on the team, and now even the guys are even making the team on other teams so that they can compete at the tournament. Now, what do you think the influence is on the world competition now? Because obviously, it's going to push the other countries having the United States guys kind of filter into, you know, now instead of only having to beat one United States wrestler, basically, now you're going to have to beat a couple.
There's going to be a couple guys in the bracket.
Yeah. So
the thing that was kind of cool that I saw just during this the whole thing is somebody did a dynamics of a map of where the place winners come from, and they come from the United States, and they come from that area where Serbia is, Russia, Iran, that whole little area right there. That's where all the place winners are coming from. Those two parts of the world
Yeah.
are just wrestling
Yeah.
fanatics.
It is.
I mean, we think we're fanatics, but you go over there and watch Iran wrestle, and if Russia ever does become a true team, and but I
Yeah.
mean, they're just nuts.
Yeah.
We found that out last year. We went to the World Cup in Coralville,
Yeah.
and it was my wife and I, Marianne, and we were the minority as far as speaking the English. There were people that were not speaking English whatsoever, but the craziest thing was there were people there taking pictures of the drinking fountains. I was in the bathroom, and there was a guy taking a picture of the toilet, the urinal, and the guy taking a picture of the sink and sending it to somebody else in his country.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that, I
Yeah. I
mean,
mean, it's
it's a different world.
yeah, wrestling is the closest thing to them from a lifestyle standpoint. Obviously, we've talked about this many times. Like, one of the challenges locally and, in the country alone to build wrestling is that not only you have other options, but wrestling's the hardest option. So why would many people choose it?
Right.
It's just a hard, difficult sport that you don't really see the fruits of the labor until you're all done doing it. So it's really hard for people to push through. But people in some of those other countries, that's the closest thing to their daily life that it's just most natural. So it obviously, I think our wrestling culture is definitely is the culture that is at the elite level is getting extremely elite, right? They're training more, they're competing, that you could say that they're competing more, which is obviously there's some negative side effects to that. But as far as just the elite competition is concerned, they're right up there with those guys from Russia, Dagestan and Iran and those places. So it is nice to see that everybody is now competing. I mean, David Taylor now pins Yazdani. Obviously, Yazdani and him were having a good match in some capacity.
Not really.
But I mean,
not really.
how bad was how like guys get into that position and they can get pinned?
He was teched when he put his back down.
Well, that's kind of what he. So
yeah, I mean, it was inevitable.
Yeah,
it was. Well, here's the thing too that I think is one of the greatest things about the American wrestlers in our country is that they're in shape. I mean, sometimes are we out technique wise in freestyle or Greco? Are we a little bit out tech? Yeah, because we wrestle folk style, right? But I tell you what, our lungs are just incredible. You could see guys melting.
Yeah.
All of a sudden in the second period, they go out of bounds, and the guy sitting there and go, "Oh, I didn't realize this sock was not too far up." So he's got to pull his socks up. He's got to, get on his knee, and I mean, it's just But
yeah, that's definitely improving. Well, it's always been an asset of the Americans, but I think that the rule, maybe just the evolution of the way in which the competition is being done, is obviously benefiting the United States in a lot of ways. I mean,
totally.
Do you ever remember watching? I remember watching a couple of old matches, and like the officials were Iranian officials or something, like and they were like waving off points, and they were just kind of like, so it's created. I mean, maybe that's a political tool that more American influence has come into the sport of wrestling at a world level, so that some of those things that made the sport kind of I don't know, kind of frustrating, really. Like you watch guys wrestling hard, and then somebody's trying to like slow it down or
right.
That was never that was never fun to watch. You'd always think that the United States guys were getting screwed out of wins, but maybe the influence of the Western influence is definitely helping us, obviously, because our style is that style, right? You break guys, you wear them down, you open them up, and then you dominate. But that's cool to
You know
see that.
what else I believe too is that the U.S. and those guys are getting paid some money so they can stay in the sport. They're making some money. They can make a livelihood, and it's good because those are our best wrestlers. There were times that we weren't sending our best wrestlers because our best wrestlers were becoming coaches or going out and doing something else. But some of the best wrestlers are staying with wrestling and staying with it for a period of time, which is good because that time of, I think it's in the 30s, is like your peak as a wrestler.
Yeah.
Like 28 to 32 is like, peak time for where you can really produce. But
Well,
yeah, I mean, it was.
well, I was going
Go
to
ahead.
say, speaking of, one of the greatest wrestlers that wasn't able to compete this year because he lost in the qualifier,
Right.
but at 79, so Chance Marsteller beats Burroughs, wins the spot, but goes 1-1 and is eliminated. So what did he do? Was he real tight and slow and
Yeah, he's a very defensive
yeah,
wrestler anyhow. I mean,
stay,
that's his body stature and everything. It's kind of like trying to take down a fire hydrant, you
yeah,
know. It just stays very stationary. We talked about this earlier about just that, is it right that they have a tournament? Is it not right? Is it right to maybe you select somebody after if they, the year before they were world champion, but it's the United States. We try to do things the right way. And I mean, there are probably some guys that could have been on the team, and maybe place, but at that period of time, that weekend when they had to wrestle, you got to perform.
yeah, yeah. Wrestling is tough because it is it's an meritocracy. So meritocracy in the sense that if you win the tournament, you qualify. You're the best guy, right? But
Right.
styles are so important when it comes to especially international wrestling, where you have a guy who you've never wrestled before and their style is not something that you've seen before. And it's one of the reasons why I think Jordan Burroughs was so successful, is because he was able to break those weird, awkward wrestling styles because he was so simplified with his attack, right? His double leg attack, and he was so good at level changing. But somebody comes to mind is like the Russian brothers. What is the name? Old guys that wrestled with their elbows.
Yeah.
I forget his name. One of the greatest wrestlers in history, right? But either way, he had a very awkward wrestling style. But so it's very difficult for you to train for that guy. And so from a coaching standpoint or a national standpoint, you could say, oh, I got a guy that can beat that guy, but you maybe you put the guy who won the tournament. It's not necessarily the guy who's going to beat that guy.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it's tough. I do prefer the American tradition as to if you win the qualifier, you're the guy, just because anytime you put in the politics of selection process, it takes a little bit away from the beauty of the sport. And again, like you said, like David or Jordan Burroughs is mad that he didn't beat Marsteller. So he should have. And at the end of the day, he didn't do what he needed to do to get on that team. And if he does, what was the 79 kilo look like? Do you think he was capable of putting himself right in position to win that too?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah. I mean, I think a medal for sure,
Yeah.
but because he knows it, he just
Yeah.
knows
A
what to
veteran.
expect. But that Marsteller though, too, it's the beginning of like, he's trying to, he said he's made gigantic improvements in the last couple of years in his freestyle wrestling skills. And the guy has gone through a ton of stuff in life. So it's kind of great to see him, succeed. I mean, he succeeded. I mean, he made a world team and won some matches, it's a crazy grind.
Yeah. No, I definitely think that there's a lot to it, and obviously you have to learn somehow, right? So
Right.
maybe he's going to be ready for the Olympics. Maybe he is ready and is next year, right?
Yeah,
in just next
2024,
yeah. So next year maybe
like
he
315 days, they said.
yeah. So it's kind of, tough to know whether or not everything is a stepping stone. So, you can't learn unless you experience it. And sometimes when you experience it, it doesn't go very well. So, he might have gone 1-1 this year or at the Worlds, but he'll get qualified. And to compare it back to, local wrestling, like how many guys qualified for the state tournament and didn't get a medal, but they got the experience of being at the state tournament to see, to feel, so it's a necessary part of it. Sometimes it doesn't go the way you want it, but if you have more opportunities in your career, then you can use it to make you better. So that's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally true. I mean, you got to see those big lights,
Yeah,
right?
you
And you
have
got to
to.
be around. You got to be around that whole atmosphere of everything, not just the wrestling part of it, but making the weight and what leads up to it, and you're controlling yourself during the tournament and knowing you have to next day weigh-ins and everything. I mean, every guy who medaled at the U.S. said it's the easiest weigh-ins that they do. It's the next day weigh-ins when they know they're wrestling for a medal.
Yeah.
It's so easy to make weight. So yeah, it's good stuff. It's hard to believe that I got to get up at 3:30 in the morning and watch it on a computer instead of, I mean, I'm just such a wrestling fanatic and freak that you just be like, how can not somebody cover it on TV?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
it's not fan friendly.
Yeah.
There's formats. There's so many people from different countries, you know,
So
just,
just going into that for a moment, is the broadcast, like, what do you think about the broadcast and
it's great.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say anything about the
Oh,
audible
yeah, yeah.
audio because I didn't listen. I just watched.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, it was great. I mean, they covered everything, every
Yeah.
match. And the thing is that as soon as that match was over with, it went right down into replays. So like if you did sleep in, unlike a crazy person like me who got up, if you did sleep in, you could go right in and just go right to replays. You can go right to whatever match you want to watch.
Yeah.
Pro wrestling's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes is there technology not the best during college wrestling season? Yeah, then it's not because sometimes they float in and out and stuff like that. But it's still they're
Yeah.
one of the best things to promote wrestling. Flow
Yeah.
is
No, for sure. I mean, they're the only shop in town right now.
they are.
I do think that it's going to be interesting as time goes on, if there's more and more people, creating financial opportunities with wrestling, I do think that there are going to be more competition when it comes to the broadcasting, the more of the production aspect, whether or not they charge people to watch or they distribute it for free and they get advertising on the back end. Again, one of the reasons why everyone gets to watch the Super Bowl is because they make a lot of money in the broadcasting deals with the advertising. Same with golf and stuff like that. So hopefully wrestling kind of adopts a different approach in the sense that it's not just pay-per-view, because again, I think that the international aspect of wrestling, along with the college aspect of wrestling, because college wrestling is pretty big when it comes to the national tournament. People are watching it on the television because they see Iowa versus Ohio State or whatever. So those brands are really big at the level that at the national level. It's people are watching it at a bar even though they don't watch wrestling.
Right.
So they could do that same thing with international stuff. So whether ESPN gets involved at some point and outbids Flow Wrestling for the broadcasting rights. I mean, the Olympics will be broadcasted by NBC, so maybe they'll be in a better spot time wise than they have been in the past, right? Wrestling in the past has always been, the guy won the Olympics. Well, if 5 guys are in the Olympics, they're definitely going to show it, or in the Olympic finals, they're definitely going to show it. And in this situation, if whether it's Gomez or Miocic or Amini, if they're American wrestlers, university wrestlers that are winning, then they're going to broadcast that too. So that's pretty cool. So who's up tomorrow? Go ahead.
One thing that is the issue with wrestling is that, okay, so you watch NCAA wrestling. I mean, it's the NCAA tournament. Big Ten wrestling's awesome. Big Ten Network, they all do a great job. You watch folk style wrestling all the way through the year. Then all of a sudden you flip over to watch the world tournament. It's like, what the hell is this? This isn't folk style wrestling. There's people that don't even know how the scoring goes. It's two different factors that are just somehow, I don't know, it's never going to happen here in the United States.
Yeah.
But I mean,
just the understanding of the adoption of
Yeah,
comprehension.
of all
Yeah.
of a sudden now you're watching freestyle and folk style has nothing, you know. So
But I
like if
do
you were
think,
to,
yeah,
I
I
mean,
was,
if I just, I mean, like if you got up and you're like, oh, the world try or the world tournament's on right now, it's in Belgrade, Serbia, or whatever. I'm gonna watch some of it, and all of a sudden you're watching folk style wrestling. You're not a wrestler yourself. You've never wrestled freestyle. You're just a fan of wrestling, and you flick it on. You're like, what is this? What
yeah.
the hell's the scoring? You know?
Yeah, I definitely don't think that it's something that you can fall into. I didn't feel too well on Saturday. I had a headache and I was supposed to go golfing. I didn't feel good. And so I was just kind of laying around in bed all day. And it was so easy to put on football. And I wasn't even watching the score necessarily, but it was so easy to just put on football
Right,
and just watch it. And same
right.
with golf. Like it was like I watched 3 shots, and then I changed the channel. I checked in on this football game, saw some action, wasn't exciting. I switched to the next one. So it was like it's so much easier to jump into those sports as opposed to wrestling. But I definitely think that the martial arts community, the culture of like mixed martial arts, the world, just think about how the impact of being connected digitally to different markets across the globe. Like in the past, obviously, your viewers were based on the country, and now because it's broadcasted on the internet, you're connecting audiences from all around the globe. So
Right.
it changes the viewer dynamic, I guess. So it doesn't need everyone in the United States to watch it. It just needs a portion of the United States to watch it, but a portion of, maybe people in Russia and people in, Iran or whatever. As long as technology continues to progress and, like economics continue to grow, if those countries start to have the access to, cell phones and computers and, that stuff,
Most countries never will.
well, I don't know if never is the answer. I don't think that it's actually possible for never. I think slowly
In
but
some of those
surely.
countries,
I genuinely think that something um is inevitable as far as like how the influence of of like global tech political affairs continues to expand. I mean, obviously I could expand on, things like Iraq and Afghanistan and how they're different they were in some capacity. Whether or not they stay that way, I don't really know, but
yeah, I'm not
that
a political guy anymore.
yeah, that's way up. That's too much for me. But I mean, I do think that there is a potential that, you know, at some point it does, but maybe not in our lifetime, but hopefully I think that would be kind of neat for it. But
Maybe yours, not mine.
yeah, maybe the later stage of my life, I think
Yeah,
there might be a possible evolution of that stuff. But
I mean,
yeah,
the whole thing was great. I mean, Flo does a great job. I mean, I'll get up tomorrow and watch Kyle Snyder wrestle. You
yeah.
know,
So
if I won't. I guess I don't have to. I don't think he wrestles till like 10:30 tomorrow morning now.
but so he's the only freestyle guy that's left to wrestle still. Um,
Yeah,
and
and there's no way they can lose the title. It's a
and
done deal.
so they wrapped it up. That's pretty cool.
It is cool. It's very cool.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I think that is just a testament to the state of wrestling in America. And
Sure
again,
is.
some of the negative. This is why I think it's so funny about wrestling, because like some of the negatives that we have, whether it's high school recruiting, whether it's northern or name image likeness, like not even negatives. I don't even think they're negatives, but they're negatives in some capacity, right? They negatively impact some people, and
Negative impact young people.
yeah, but they also provide positive impacts for some people. And again, whether it's getting these kids opportunities to train in certain places, whether it's college guys getting more money, whatever it is, um, there's good and bad with every single thing there is in life. And
Oh,
like
there is. Yeah, totally.
it definitely seems that the outcome of like skill, elite performance is going up. It seems like that. Maybe it's not any different, but it seems like it is, right? I still think Cal Sanderson wins if he's alive if he's wrestling today as opposed to back in the day. I still think some of those old wrestling guys in the past are still winning if they're here today. But overall, the depth, it definitely looks like it's
There,
at its highest.
there's one person that would win guaranteed, undoubtedly would be John Smith.
Oh yeah. I mean, again,
He would win no matter what it is. He would, him and Cal Sanderson both would be like, yeah.
but wouldn't you say that now it's like maybe there's 3 John Smiths at a weight class or something?
Oh yeah, but
Yeah.
he's the real John Smith would come through. I mean, he just would. He.
Well, what do they
Him
say?
and,
Winners win.
yeah, him and
Winners
Cal
win.
both broke. Him and Cal broke the barriers, man.
Yeah.
Their whole wrestling technique was just unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. They definitely took it to the next
Cal's was
level.
basically John Smith, but it was just for a big dude.
Yeah,
That
for
little
sure.
ankle attack, you know.
He was so smooth with it. But
Oh God.
well, I'll let you go. You got to wake
Yep.
up early to watch some wrestling on Wednesday. Yeah, the next time we meet, we'll catch up
Yeah.
on what happened then.
Sounds
So
good. It was awesome though.
yep, I bet. So
All right.
thanks again, and we'll see
got
you
it.
soon. Bye.
You got it.